Have you ever played Dino Crisis? No? Well, neither have I. Despite it being a survival horror game made by Capcom shortly after they finished Resident Evil 2, it just didn't find as much success. But that's not to say it wasn't still a very popular series, as the internet will be quick to remind you. But it's been over 20 years since the last installment, and there's no solid evidence of Capcom doing anything with the IP. And just like many beloved titles of the past, indie devs are here to fill in the gaps that AAA studios have left behind. Which brings us to a little game I found called Athanasia, which just so happens to be on Kickstarter right now. Now, I know I did that whole intro about Dino Crisis, but Athanasia is a lot more than the dinosaur-themed survival horror you might be thinking of. Instead, it's a full-fledged immersive sim, providing the players with countless options to tackle any scenario. Of course, you can climb through vents and stack boxes, but the systems go much further than that. For example, you can turn off the power, sneak past some enemies, and then pry open an unpowered door with a crowbar. Or you can grab things in the environment to use as a shield against the automatic turrets. Or you can turn on your flashlight and drop it on the ground to use as a stationary spotlight while you're fighting dinosaurs. And to top it all off, you can tell a computer to self-destruct, causing an explosion and lighting everything nearby on fire, including yourself. I could go on and on about all the neat little interactions this game has, but I think you guys get the point. And being that this is just a small demo, I wouldn't be surprised to see even more complexity down the line. But speaking of demos, the other parts of it are pretty nice too. The retro art style isn't amazing, but it is pretty cohesive. And I really appreciate how the environments felt a lot like the old Alien movies, particularly 3 and 4. Now I know, compared to the original Alien movies, 3 and 4 are kinda bad, but they still have some cool features to them as well. Excellent sets being one of them. That doesn't have much to do with Athanasia, but I was soaking in the Alien vibes for the duration of this demo. And while I'm talking about retro aesthetics, those old computers and vintage cyberpunk UI was pretty nicely executed. The game really does feel like something you could actually experience back in the early 2000s or so props for that. And while I'm listing things that I like so far, I have to say the voice acting is well beyond what I'd expect from a tiny indie game like this.
Throw him a chunk of grill house ribs, they ain't right after it like it owed him money.
In fact, for a Kickstarter demo, I probably wouldn't expect voice acting at all. That stuff usually comes much later in development. So that's what the game has gotten right so far. What do I think they can improve on moving forward? Well, I did run into a few bugs, like the game mentioning a crossbow and constantly giving me ammo for it, but it seemingly didn't exist. I searched all over the room where the crossbow dialogue appeared, but there was nothing to be found, unless I somehow missed something obvious? It might be hard for me to confirm if that's a bug or not, but I'm sure that a raptor pushing me through a wall and underneath the map wasn't intended. Likewise, I ran into some small issues, like a tutorial dialogue refusing to close, but that's to be expected of an early demo. Gameplay-wise, I really liked how many options were always at your disposal, but the enemy AI felt so inconsequential that I mostly just walked past them. Their vision range is like 5 feet, even if you're running around in a well-lit environment. I get that they designed it for tight corridors, but the stealth becomes rather silly once you realize how blind the dinosaurs are. In addition to that, I found that most encounters required trading portions of my health because it's impossible to melee the dinos without taking damage, even if you get the jump on them from stealth. And with no crossbow to use, I was very much inclined to just avoid enemies altogether. Overall, I think this game will scratch that immersive sim itch far more than the classic survival horror one people may be expecting. Fans of Dino Crisis may see this and instantly jump on it, only to then realize that it doesn't play like an old Capcom game at all. But I think that's a good thing. Athanasia has its own thing going on, and it executes it pretty well so far. If you want to give it a spin for yourself, the demo is probably still up on Steam, depending on when you're watching this video. So I'll leave a link to that below. And also, like I said before, they are running a Kickstarter campaign, so I'll leave a link to that as well if you want to check it out. Anyways, short demo, short video, so I'll just call it here. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope to see you all in the next one.